According to the indictment, Manafort used the money to, quote, enjoy a lavish lifestyle, spending nearly $1 million on antique rugs and more than $1.3 million on fancy clothes.
Over $2 million on rugs and clothes. Now, I can't speak to the quality of his rugs, but how the fuck is this guy spending that much on clothing? He looks like he bought all the suits that he was going to wear for the rest of his life on one day in 1982 with a cashier's cheque for $900. And when journalists tried to find out where he got his clothes from and called a number of high-end boutiques, they got either denials or no comments from Canali, Isia, House of Bijan, Zegna and Brioni, which is a little surprising because what brand would not want as its public face? A man who looks like an extra from a direct-to-DVD mobster movie who fell asleep in a tanning bed. But if I may quote the TSA agent assigned to inspect Mariah Carey's carry-on, let's set aside the $1.3 million in clothes for just a minute and let's ask the question that Trump asks himself every moment of every day. How does Donald Trump fit into this? Well, to hear him tell it, he doesn't.
The president revealed his thoughts in 2 tweets. Quote, sorry, but this is years ago before Paul Manafort was part of the Trump campaign. But why aren't crooked Hillary and the Dems the focus? Adding, also, there is no collusion, writing that last but in all capital letters.
Wow, all capital letters. I haven't seen such a forceful denial since every men's clothing store in 2 major American cities denied supplying Manafort with a closet full of boxy, off-the-rack jackets from the Dad's Open Casket funeral collection. And if you think about Trump's defence here, which he definitely hasn't, it's actually pretty strange, because he's essentially saying Manafort had already done all this stuff at the time that I, Donald Trump, decided to hire him as my campaign manager. Which means one of 2 things. Either Trump did a background check, discovered his suspicious activity and didn't care, or he didn't so much as Google Manafort before hiring him, because everybody knows that Manafort is dodgy. He has represented the interests of strongmen and dictators around the world, including Ferdinand Marcos, Mobutu, Viktor Yanukovych, and Russian oligarch Oleg Deripaska, the last 2 of whom had close ties to Putin. In fact, it's since come to light that Manafort may have been in debt to pro-Russian interests by as much as $17 million. And the more we learn about him, the shadier he gets.
Prosecutors have noted that Manafort has 3 U.S. passports with different numbers and recently traveled abroad while using a phone and email registered under an alias.
OK, so, first of all, who outside of Jason Bourne needs 3 separate passports and an alias, besides, of course, the Olsen twin? Because she's got 1 for Mary-Kate, 1 for Ashley, and 1 for Hilary Duff. Oh, that's right. There is also no Hilary Duff. It's just 1 Olsen twin, moving back and forth very quickly, and then changing her hair and face significantly and standing still in a different place. I'm close. I'm so close to blowing this whole charade apart. Now Trump has argued that Manafort was just with the campaign for a very short period of time. But he held top positions within it for 5 months, during which time he not only organised the convention, he also spoke on the campaign's behalf, with decidedly mixed results.
So to be clear, Mr. Trump has no financial relationships with any Russian oligarchs?
That's what he said. That's what I said. That's obviously what our position is.
Well, there is nothing inherently suspicious about that response at all, except for the sweatiness, the stumbling, and the fact you couldn't even hold eye contact with the camera. Also, while Manafort may have been gone before the election, Gates, his partner, who prosecutors say had 55 bank accounts, he helped run the inaugural committee and has been a frequent visitor to the White House. So again, the question here is, did Trump know all of this and not care? Or did he know none of it because he's incompetent? In other words, is Trump smart enough to be evil?